waiting for other I was waiting for other people. So I think we can start now. And today's class is interesting. I was hoping more people would join, but no worries. And today we will work more on Python, like actual work, uh, than talk. By the way, you guys can hear me? Just message me if you can. Can you hear me? Please let me know. I know if you guys are hearing me okay. All right, good to know. Let me share my screen. Share, and there we go. Let me move this thing here. Uh, and today we will work more, talk less, or we'll keep talking, but we'll work more. So I hope you all have your Visual Studio code installed and Python installed. So today is our session number 4, and you already know about myself again. I'm going to repeat this again and again in every session so we know what our goals are for this course. That we are learning the basics of programming. We're not only learning any programming language. So these basics will help you learn any language. So if you learn these basics carefully, you will be able to learn any programming language. So if whenever I tell you any concept here, like variable, functions, if, loops, try to understand their concept and you'll be able to apply them anywhere, any other programming language. They are the same. And then we'll apply in this course, we'll apply in Python. In future, if we are doing other courses, you will see that same concept will be applied in other programming languages. Maybe the syntax or the way we type the code will be different, but the concept will be same. And then we'll be using Python libraries, and I'll show you today a very interesting library. I'll show you today how to install it, and we'll do a little fun activity towards the end to show you how easy it is to make interesting games in Python. And towards the end of our sessions, our course, we'll do a project where you will be doing something interesting. It could be game, it could be anything of your choice. Okay, like every session, I'm going to do recap so we keep on repeating or revising what we have done so far. And then straight we'll go to writing our code and apply what we learned in last session, because that's the basics of programming that will be used everywhere. So the more we'll practice, the more we'll get good at it. So from now onwards, remember the practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the more you will get good at it. Okay, so that's why I will keep on repeating. It will be more work, more practical work than talk. So make sure you have Python and Visual Studio Code installed. Okay, session 1 recap. By computer programming, again, is a way to communicate to a computer. Computer understand only machine languages, that is zeros and ones. To make it easier for humans, scientists and engineers develop low-level languages, such as assembly language and Python. Assembly is a low-level language, Python is a high-level. Python is a general purpose language, and it is platform-independent programming language. That means it can run on Apple computers like MacBook, iPad, or it can also run on Intel like Dell laptop or other Intel computers. In session 1, we'll also install Python version 3.12.6 from python.org. And if you visit now, maybe there are other higher version available. So this keep on changing. So when we did the session 1, it was this version that was available. And then in session one, we also install Visual Studio Code from code.visualstudio.com. It is a free uh, integrated development environment, IDE in short we call, and you probably will see it a lot, IDE. So remember that is an integrated development environment, which is free of cost. You can download and use it for typing Python's code. In the session one, we also install Python extension inside Visual Studio Code. So when you type Visual Studio Code is generic. So when you type Python code, it knows that you are typing Python and it can, translate it or tell you if you did any mistake. And then in session one, we also did our first Hello World program. Okay. In session two, we talked about what is a computer program. We discussed like a computer program is like a set of instructions or a group of instructions. And we discussed and created a real world example where, we discussed if we want to ask someone to fetch us a bottle filled with water from a refrigerator or fridge, how we will instruct that person, like get up, turn around, move 5 steps further, then turn left, pick up the water bottle, then turn towards fridge, move, press the button, keep on pressing it, fill it up with water until it's full, then, turn around and walk towards my me or remember those instruction set, and then we call that instruction set fetch water. So we created that in session two, and we call that a program. We also discussed what a variable is. Variable is a way to keep track of information, just like a name tag. So in programming, we use these name tag. So remember, computer only stores things in zeros and ones. So whenever you want to store some information, computer has a memory, and inside that memory, everything gets stored in forms of zeros and ones, which is hard to remember. So what you do, so whenever you say, hey, store this information, for example, so computer just store it somewhere in zeros and zeros and ones and ones. And so we give it a name tag. So whenever we want that set of zeros and ones, we call that name tag and computer provide it. And whenever we want to update that information, we use the same name tag and we call that information. Since we know it can change, we call it variable. Okay. And we also discussed the difference between data and information. Data is simple, anything like which doesn't mean anything. Like I gave you example of my age. Like if I say 42 is simply data. 42 is just a number. But when I say my age is 42, that becomes information that means something. So that's the difference between, and you can have like any other information. You can say uh, red, for example. Red is a color, right? But when you said uh, this wall is red, then it becomes information. This color, uh, this pen is red. This car, maybe you can say this car is red, so that becomes information. So that's the difference between data and information. That's why I was referring to data and information. So when you are storing data and you want to make it an information, you create variables. So you can reference that. And that's why when we create variables, we use name tags and we name it such that we remember what information we are storing. So whenever we are creating a variable that we know will store age, we name it age. So we know that it's storing our age. And computer, when it is storing your information, it needs to know what type of information it's storing, whether it is numbers, whether it is text, or it is yes or no kind of information. So so computer needs to know that where in memory it needs to store and how it needs to store. So that's how it gives you space inside memory. And we'll discuss that in later session, how computer allocates space inside memory, because computer memory has space where it gives you area to store information. All right, so that comes the data types of your information. And then in session 2, we also did two labs for adding two numbers and then adding two numbers based on whatever user provided as an input. In session 3, last session, we discussed why we do or write computer program. Basically, to make difficult tasks easier. Like we have difficult calculations, we do a program. So computer does it for us. And when we do program, one of the advantage of doing a program that you write it one time and then you call it again and again. So you don't have to do it again and again. See, it's reusable. So a computer program can be reused again and again. So you don't have to do the same thing again and again. It makes tasks easier, and sometimes within a task need to do, like you have to repeat something. So repetitive things inside a task, just like you have to do certain things certain number of times or wait for a certain number of times. So you can ask computer to do that for you. Sometimes you have to count something certain number of times or wait for certain hours or do something until something is done. So as a human, you get bored. So computers are very good. They don't bother if they have to wait or they have to count. So you write programs for that. Decision making, like if you need to make decision, if this happened, do this. If this happened, do that. I gave you example of buying a bread. Like if you find company A bread, buy this. If you don't, buy that bread. And then reuse the same code, and we look the functions in last class. So today what I decided to do is do the labs that will make you see how we can make use of these components of computer programming. Okay, so in today's lab, we'll see for loop, while loop, if condition, indentation, function, and interesting Pygame, which we'll see towards the end. So if you see, these were the labs of last class as well. Last class, we just saw what these are. Today's lab will actually show something more interesting, how you can actually put it to use. Something useful, something that you say that is more, they say, okay, well, now I can see why it is useful. Okay, so let's do this one. So I'm opening my, okay, let's create a new file and select Python. And I'm gonna save this as save session. It's like how the labs are saved, Python underscore Python, underscore session, or it could be anything. So we're looking at loops, okay? So we saved our lab here. So let's see. So I got this. Um, it's you all have studied tables in mathematics when we were little, and we have to memorize it. And now let's see if we can write a program for a computer to do it for us. So let's see here. Okay, so let's see. It is, I'm putting a comment. See, you can put a comment. DevinciKode Python session number 4. Write a program for create generating times table for a number input by the user. Okay, using for loop. This is our task. Okay, what is our task? Write the program for generating times table, like or whatever, and for a number that is input by the user using for loop. Remember, there were for loop and there were while loop. All right. So now we have to recall our lab when we took input from user, um, and we have to remember how we could. I copy pasted the code. So if you remember, uh, we took the input of the user. Anyone remember how you could take the input from the user? I copy pasted the code. Even if you don't want to speak here, but at least review how you can do that. Okay, so let's say I'm putting comment get input from the user for the okay, or get the number for which the multiplication table is to be printed. Multiplication or times table, whatever you want to call it. All right, so let's do this. So how you take input? Anyone remember? Number, we give a name tag or variable, and then we say, and we know it's a number, so we will say integer. We covered this in our lab number 2 or session number 2. Input enter the number. Okay, so this code here will ask user to enter a number and store in this variable, which is number. And you can name anything. You can name, instead of number, you can say, your own names. It's just a name tag where you are storing something, right? The next, what I'm going to do is, and you see, I'm putting these comments, so I know what I'm doing, and then you will remember what you are doing. So, okay, print on screen for user to give user instruction input desired number for which okay. You can, and this is for your own convenience. You can put as much details you want, and this helps when you revisit. And this is a habit. If you don't put these comments, nothing bad will happen now. But just imagine when you come back to this code after a month, and then you say, "Oh my God, what did I do? I don't even remember what I did." So there's also a joke about the coding that, when I wrote this code, only God and I knew what I did. And after a month, only God knows what I did. I don't even know what I did. So that's why these comments are very important. All right, so now since we are using for loop, in for, we start with the keyword for. Oh, in you can use any variable. This is another variable. I'm saying for I or iteration. When you repeat something, it's called iteration. So I is for iteration. For I in range 1 to 11. And then I'm using indentation. That means the body of the code or block of code. Result, another variable now. Number, which is my variable here, which is the number input by the user. It could be anything. Multiply by. In programming or computer, you probably know the multiply sign is this asterisk. It's usually on, if you look at on your keyboard, it's on number 8. If you press Shift key and press number 8, this is what you see as called asterisk. Number, which is your variable, multiplied by I, which is this variable. And this is a loop, so means it will run from 1 to 11. So the first time it will run, I will be 1. The next time it will run, I will be 2. It's like a counter. It will run 1 till 11, which will be 10. If you count from 1 to 11, it is 10. So it will run 10 times. Okay, so now we told this, and then what we have to do? While it is doing this, what I have to do? Print. I have to print. Whenever you need to print something inside variable, you do in curly brackets. So I need to print whatever inside the number variable. Okay. Number variable, which is the number input by a user. And now I'm printing this to be displayed on screen. So this is what I am printing, basically something like this for the user. You know, the way we see table, or something like 2 multiplied by 1 equal to 2, or 2 multiplied by 2 equal 4. See, this is how we see table. So now basically I'm putting a generic format here. So I'm using variable for that. So number multiplied by again, I need to print the value inside a variable. I'll use this curly brackets equals curly brackets result, and that's it. Now if I run, what will I see? Let's run. Okay, it's asking me to enter the number. Okay. And I say 3 and enter. Here you go. 3 into 1 equal 3. 3 into 2 is 6. See, this is our table using for loop. All right, so let's do the same table using while loop. Any question here? Let me copy paste here. So this is the table using for loop. Let's use while loop. Okay, maybe I can create another. Do you have any questions so far? Please let me know. Save. And this time I'm going to copy paste the stuff so we'll save some time. Just remember, write a program for generating timetable for a number input by the user using while loop. Okay, get the number for which. Okay, and I'm going to use the same. So this until here, everything is same. So just to save time, I'm gonna copy paste. Okay. Now, instead of for loop, so now we'll see the difference between what's the for loop and while loop. So in for loop, if you notice, I know how many times I have to run the counter. What's the difference in while? In while loop, I don't know how many times something needs to run. It only runs until something happens, right? So for example, when we were filling up our water bottle, uh, if from the refrigerator, we did not count till 1 till 10, okay? We've pressed the button for the water until the water is full inside the bottle. Okay, so we did not count because we did not know that water will be full and in 12 counts, 15 count, 20 count, we don't know. We just say, hey, just press the button, keep on pressing it until it is full. So when you have a condition which you don't know how much time it will take, so in those conditions, in those situations, you use while loop. So I hope it will make sense. But this is what we're going to see. Uh, okay, so now we have a while loop for doing the same thing. That is creating a times table using a while loop. So in while loop, we have to create a condition or see if it's a condition is met or the certain thing happened or not. So in case of table, we can say, okay, if like we have to generate something like table until 12, like we last generated table was until 10, like 10 times table, like 3 into 10. And then it stopped because we only did it 1 till 11, which was 10 counts. So here we can do one additional thing. We can create a counter and say until that counter is not complete, keep on doing. Instead of counting and doing things in loop, we'll just check if the counter is completed or not. We say initialize the counter and you say counter, a variable, and we give it a value 1, counter. Okay. Now, another comment. I'm just putting comments so we know what we're doing. Use a while loop to print the time table. Okay. So for using while loop, you use keyword while. Counter less than equal to 10. Print number, comma, x, which is comma, counter, comma, oh, I put enter instead of equal. Okay, so what I'm saying here? First, I created a variable and gave it a value 1. And I say while this counter variable is less than equal to 10, to what? Print the number, which is we took input from user, and then in whatever we put in quotes basically is exactly printed on the screen. So it will be printing X, and then counter is a variable too, so it will be printed as whatever in the variable, which is the first time it will be 1, then it will print ex equal to sign, and then it will print the multiplication results of whatever you have in. And here, if you remember, here we were printing result. We were saving the result first and printing results. Here we are doing it directly. You can do either way. And here you are doing in brackets here, and here you are not doing in brackets. So there are multiple ways of doing same thing. So you will learn over time. So don't get too much confused. If something doesn't make sense, just don't worry. It will start making more sense once we practice more and more. And right now you're seeing that there is an error message because it is not complete yet. While loop needs some more condition, that is counter plus these are operators which we haven't covered yet, which we will cover. So these are called operators, and we missed one thing here. For making it a body, you have to put colon. Okay, so now it's saying while counter is less than equal to 10, print number same x, which is simply uh, x as you print here, whatever value in here, then equal to, then number multiplied by counter. And like I said, you can do this way as well. Like you store in another variable and print the value here instead. Okay, so let me clear the screen here. For clearing, you can type CLS. Oh, what's happening? Mine. Is it still running? All right. Save. Now it should be CLS. Oh, what happened? Is is this a Python file where it is giving some error? And let's see what it's saying. Invalid syntax where it is giving error somewhere. So we have to figure this out and we'll fix it. All right. Line one. It says line one. What's the error on line one? Okay, so I don't know what's going on. Let's see, select Python. Let's see if this solves. Line one. Okay, see now these are the things that can happen during programming. Sometimes, you have errors that show up and then you have to do debugging. And that's good that, it's happening. So you can see that programming is not always as smooth as we see it. You have to debug it, and that's also part of training. It says standard input, number input. Okay, standard input. We ran this one, this one. Let me restart this, maybe. Okay, now it's working. So I don't know what happened there. Oh, so we have two times table, and this is our while loop. We can run this one, and you can see this is our while loop table that we wrote. So sorry about that. Don't know what happened. There was some issue. Sometimes you just restart. I restarted my Visual Studio Code and it started to work. Okay, so you can see now we use the same table with our while loop. And I can copy paste this code as well. So, and you can compare both of this code and see what's the difference between the for loop and while loop. And both uses um, loops, but they are different in terms of like the application and situation. In one situation, you know how many times you have to count something, and the other, you don't. All right, so we will move a little quickly here because we uh, need to cover one more program here. Then I have to show you another thing. Uh, all right, so let's see. Python. Let's do something more interesting, more useful. Where is, and we'll do copy the writer program. Simple calculator. Subtraction, multiplication, and division. See, this seems interesting, right? Okay, what we going to use in this program? We will be using functions. Remember, we created functions last class, how we can create functions and how we can uh, reuse them. We used the if condition last time, and we already have used variables. So let's create functions first. So remember functions, you define a code block and then you can reuse it whenever you call it. It do the same thing again and again. So we're going to use that. So let's do this. So for creating a calculator, let's see what we need in a calculator. So first we do this. We need input. First we do this print. Welcome to my calculator. Then I say number one equal to enter integer input. Please enter first number. I'm going to do a little faster because we have less time now. Int input, please enter second number. We are basically taking input from user for two numbers, or this is a spelling mistake here. Okay, so we took two numbers input. Now I'm going to print and provide option that what user need to do, right? So if I say print instructions for user to select an operation to be performed. Okay, so print print press A for addition. Print press S for subtraction. Print press M for I did not use quotation mark. Press S Oh, M for multiplication. Print, press D for division. Okay. Now I need to capture what or save what the user is pressing, right? So I will say operation. I will call that variable operation equal to, and since these are text-based, if you notice, all these are addition, subtraction, these are text-based or character-based. I'm gonna call it string or str for short. Input, and that's why I'm saying you will probably get some confusion, but when you keep on doing it from your own hand, that will make a big difference. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, okay, what I did I miss? Okay, now, so until now, what I did, I took two number uh, from users, then I asked user to input two uh, select an operation what they want to use. Print welcome message. Then input numbers. Okay, and then what I need to do, I need to perform some message. So I need to do now perform operation based on the option selected. Perform operation based on the user selection. So now I have to use the decision. So how I use decision, if I recall, it is done through if condition. See, so if user select A means I have to do number one plus number two. If user select S, I need to do number one minus number two. If user select M, need to do number one multiply or static number one static number two. If user selects or operation, and where I'm saving inside variable operation. So if operation equals to D, then number one divided by number two. And I'm saving that in a different variable called result. Okay, that's what I have to do. All right, so this is what we will have to do. And that's what we can do here. So we can check. So we have to use if operation equals, when we are comparing, these are operators. Like I said, we haven't covered this yet. For now, just take it as, then what I need to do, print num1 plus num2. Oh, there is no num. I use number one. Sorry, I always forget. It's number two Okay. If, and I know we are short of time, so we can copy paste this. Copy, copy. It's ideally you should not copy paste. So, the more you type, the more you will build the muscle memory, what we say. So S means subtraction, means number one minus number two. M means multiplication, means number one steric, number two, and D means division. So number one division is done through this. Okay, so this is our simple calculator. Let's run it. No, we haven't saved it. Okay, session for last. Simple calculator. Okay, input number. First number. Okay, I say 5. Then I say 6. Then I say what you want to do. A for addition, S for subtraction, M for multiply. I say M. It's 30. So let me show you something very funny, and then also very thing that I say is how dumb computer is. I do the same thing. 5, 6, and it's asking me to select the option, and I say M. I select the same option that I did last time. Instead of a capital M, I select a small m. And what happened? Nothing. Why? Because here we said if the user select capital M, and what I entered, small m. For humans, it is understood that it's still m, but for computer, it is not the same. They're different, right? So see, this is how stupid computer is. You have to actually tell computer, like, hey, if user input capital M or small m, then do this, okay? So for now, I'm going to use like this. Later, I'm going to show you a better way of putting this. But you can see how stupid computer can be. Like small s and capital S are two different things for computer. Okay, we are really running over time. I'm gonna finish it pretty soon. Just want to show you some real quick thing for Pygame. All right, so now if I do the same thing again, it should not happen. So I said 5, 6, and I do M. Now this should work, and it did. See? Right now I have to specify if this and if so. You can see how specific you have to be when you are coding. Capital M and small m are two different things. So remember I told you about reusability of creating functions, and now whenever let's say if I need to use the code again for addition, you have to rewrite these lines again. The the more lines you have in code, the more problem you can get, the more file of your code file will become more, and then you have to read it more. So it becomes challenging maintaining it. So it's always good to have less line of code and uh, more work done with less line of code. Simple. So even when I show you this, this can be done in less line of code, and I'll show you in some later class. Okay, so having said this, so I can use this code inside a function, and then so that whenever next time I have to use, I don't have to write this thing again. I can, you remember function, we can use like we can define functions and okay, let me do this. At the top, so function needs to be defined at the top. So let's say we create an add function and then say print number one plus number two. Okay. And then you same way you can create and copy pasting. And function name should be different. So it will error out if I do this subtract, subtract, multiply, divide, subtract minus, multiply, and divide. Then say add these two numbers. See, I'm now calling the function. Uh, see, these are adds, and then this should be subtract. And then this should be multiply. And then this should be divide. So you do the coding here one time and you can have more code here, but you don't have to do it again and again. And you just simply call the function and then you can take a 7, 8, and you say divide. Okay. Oh, there's an error in our program. So let's fix that error. Okay. We're running really out of time here. So I will send you the code here, but this is I'll fix the error and then copy paste you the code of this calculator, and then we will uh try these programs here. The more you practice, the more you will benefit from all this, and the more you will know actually what's going on. So I know if you can just spare 5 more minutes, I want to show you something interesting that I want to move on to real soon, and that's what I want to move real. So there is a library. So what are libraries basically? So libraries are pre, cooked things in Python, and these what makes Python one of the most popular language that you have to do less effort and basically make use of those libraries that do the most of your work. It's like pre-cooked meals, like frozen food, for example. You just put in microwave, you warm it up, and it's ready to eat. You don't have to buy ingredients and make food for yourself, right? So it's that kind of thing. So there are a number of libraries available in Python. So let me show you one of the libraries inside Python, uh, and it's called Pygame. And once you install Pygame, and I'll show you how you can, and you can see what you can achieve using this library. See, I am running one of the examples. Can you see this? Oh, I missed in the first attempt. So this is our goal. We want, or at least I want to come to this level that we create this sort of games using Pygame. So Pygame is all you have to do is install it. And for installing Pygame, all you have to do is you come up here and you click here. You go type CMD, which is command prompt, right click, run as administrator. And for me, it's already installed now, but you run like this pip, Python packages installed, and it is Pygame. I think it's Pi0. Let me double check. It is Pi0. I have this. Okay. It's PG0. I always forget PG0. All you have to type is this, PG0. Okay, so for me, it's already installed. So, but when you do it, it will install PG0 on your machine. So when this is installed, we'll be able to do games on this. And what I want to do with this games, uh, if I show you something uh, that I created on this, let me show you. And I'm gonna do this real quick, and then we'll end our class. Okay. I think it's this one. So see, we'll go about this writing this game, and now next class I thought I will be able to do it today, but we won't. It's a simple game that we will write in our class. Okay, we'll have to use a different directory. I think the image directory is not fine. I have to run it from different. Ooh. Anyway, so this is a game that we we will draw. It's basically not finding the images that are used in this, and we'll cover in different class. I know we're 20 minutes over our schedule time, so we'll go over this. But install Pygame, and we will start, diving into making some cool stuff. So my plan is to start making some games along with learning. So hopefully today's session will be helpful. So the more you practice, the more you will find it easier to understand. You can see this is the actual game code. So you can see you are seeing functions here, you're seeing variables here, you are seeing more serious stuff. So better you start practicing what I'm sending, because when we'll be using actual game stuff, it will become more difficult to understand if you don't practice what I'm sending you in labs. Okay, so keep on practicing so we can start moving on to some serious and more interesting work. All right then. Until then, take care. See you all next week.